Hi, my name is Awesome Aguilera, and welcome to WEYT, the show where I find interesting people just like you and discover what's going on between their ears. Now, let's get to know one another.
Before we get started with the show, I'd like to thank our sponsors. Our first sponsor is Atmos Planning, financial planners turning visionaries into meaningful millionaires. Our second sponsor of the day is Planet Duct. Reach out to them for any of your air duct cleaning needs. Now, let's get on with the show. Welcome back to the COS Business Podcast, the #1 podcast in Colorado Springs. My name is Andrew Hazzlee, and I'm the host of the show. Today, I'm sitting here with Awesome Aguilera for the second time back in the studio, man. How's it been?
It's been good. Thanks for having me back. I appreciate you, having this moment to catch up on all the things that I've been working on since I got here.
And you've been working on them.
You got to get on that grind. Mm-hmm. As they say, embrace the grind.
You had the visions for a couple of the things that you're doing now since you got here. It's something you knew you wanted to do. And then to see it in fruition and happening and like people communicating and being involved in person is awesome, man.
Yeah. So, there's a few events that I've put together here while I'm in Colorado Springs, and just a little, to catch up from the last time that I was on here. Sweat Nation is still going on.
Yes.
I still have some clients in Miami. I've picked up a few here in Colorado Springs, so that's going well as well. We also spoke about jiu-jitsu last time.
Yes.
That's been growing as well. And there's 3 other things that I've added on to my docket. Those 2 aren't enough, but
Yeah.
when you have a passion for something, you just do it, right? You just follow it and see where it leads you. So
true.
One of the things that I started is a group called Axen, which is AXEN, and it's a play on words on action and Zen.
Oh, okay.
Because if you just take action, eventually you just burn out. But if you take action, then take a step back and reflect on it with some Zen.
Okay.
You have accent.
I like that. I haven't gone to any of those yet. I need to definitely. Are you doing that at 3 E's?
I'm doing that at the edge of downtown.
The edge, okay.
So it's by that Carl's Jr. on Platte and Nevada, right behind there. And that's basically just a group that comes together and we hold each other accountable towards reaching our goals.
Okay. Yeah. And I noticed at the beginning, I don't know if it's still part of it, but there's a lot of philosophy discussions going on in that. Is that still a part of it?
Well, I think for the jiu-jitsu, there's a lot of philosophy involved in that, because the way that I approach jiu-jitsu is not just learning how to fight. It's learning how to live a life, how to be a respectable person in the community, how to help the community grow and be a healthy community. On top of, if somebody comes and messes with you got some tools.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. Well, sweet. Let's get more into that right after we roll the intro music, man.
Sounds good.
This is a show where we have real conversations with entrepreneurs and business owners who are mostly in Colorado Springs doing things in the community of Colorado Springs. You inspired me you encouraged me to bring the ukulele onto the show. It's been sitting in the back, just looking pretty. So.
I don't want to talk about it. I want to hear about it. What do we got?
I don't know. I just want to play some music,
Yeah, play some music.
And then I got my noise gate is trying to cut out the ukulele because it's not high enough. So yeah, I don't know. Now I'm on the spot. I'm all nervous. I haven't practiced enough lately. So
maybe you got to take it to accent, and that'll be one of your accent goals is to do a recital for people.
That'd be fun.
That's how I learned ukulele.
Okay.
On my wedding trip, because I did not have a normal wedding. My wedding was traveling across the country.
Okay.
And at the beginning of the wedding, I went on Instagram Live and said, by the end of this adventure that we're on, I'm going to do a recital on Instagram Live. And I've never played this in my life, but by the end of these 4 months, I'll have something for you. And we were in Savannah, Georgia, which was our last stop before we went home. And I played like 4 or 5 songs that I kind of got through them, but I had been working for months just to learn those songs.
Yeah, you were dedicated.
And I did it. We did it.
And you have experience with music too, so
yes.
So that probably helped make it a little more easier.
Well, the thing is, tell me what you think about this, but the sound of a ukulele just brings me joy.
Yes.
And if something brings you joy, even if you mess up, it's still bringing you joy.
And that's exactly kind of why I started playing it, because I really liked it and really wanted to learn it and just wanted to get into music. But I remember when I first started playing, being 17 and my friends, when I would play it, they're just they would love it, you know.
Yeah,
it would bring them joy, you know. So
it's
so,
a happy sounding
I
instrument.
think it's a little out of tune though too. So
and it seems, one of your strings, is the top one supposed to be the thin one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how ukuleles are supposed to be. The bass chords or the deeper chords are in the middle. It's G, C, E, A. Yeah. That's the tuning, and that's the finger roll.
Ding, 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 ding.
There you go. Yeah, I don't know. Just play with it, you know. And like I've been learning some songs. Not learning. I've been, I guess, learning songs, learning chord progressions to popular Post Malone songs.
Okay.
And I'm actually gonna. I guess my recital is gonna be like a bunch of Post Malone covers, but on the ukulele.
Do it.
And I'm just excited about it. I thought that was an idea.
When's the deadline? When is this happening?
Deadline is there's no deadline.
There needs to be.
Needs to be a deadline because I was talking about this at COS on their grand opening, which was months ago, over a half a year ago.
So let's set a deadline.
It was actually funny. I was telling someone that I met there, and he just worked at a bank, you know, just had a suit. I should have known, but what I meant is like 4 or 5 months later, he saw me at Million Cups and he asked me, "How's that Post Malone set coming?" And I was like, "Oh crap!" He called me out on my shit.
Accountability.
Yes. And it was just some random person that I met, you know, and I was just feeling myself, and I was telling him that's what I'm going to do. So.
Again, I want a date.
Okay. Well, I got 3
before
songs.
the end of the summer.
Before the end of the summer? Okay, let's make it happen.
Before the end of the summer, you should do a Colorado Springs Business Podcast barbecue and have some of the guests come out, hang out, and
well, we're doing Marcus over here, he runs an event called the Tiny House Festival.
Okay.
And we're actually going to do a live episode on stage. So maybe that could be part of it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there needs to be some date.
Because if there's music,
we need a deadline.
Yeah. Well, that's what is the date of that, Marcus?
July 17th and 18th.
July 17th and 18th.
Are you going to tell the people? July 17th or 18th, there should be a recital going on. What do you think?
30,000.
Oh, come on.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Definitely, and we'd have to make sure that aligns with what the vision of the on stage podcast looks like. And it feels like that would align because, you know, on stage, you know, music, that's where it belongs.
Yeah.
Well, it belongs everywhere.
Yeah, it belongs everywhere, but it's had a home on a stage for quite some time.
Yes. Well, sweet, man. Let's talk a little bit about what you got going on in some of your events that you're doing. Some of the things.
Let's see. So since March, I've started one event, and now just this past week, I started another one. So the first one is called Memoirs, True Stories Unfiltered. And that one is going on at 3 East Comedy Club over at 1 South Nevada. And my vision for that, and as you said earlier, all these ideas are ideas I had coming in here. But the reason I had them coming in here is not because they're my original ideas. It's that they were events that I would go to in South Florida, which is where I lived before, and I saw that none of those events existed here. And it was like, well, I would like to get that community of people that like to listen to stories, to hear other people's perspectives. And you've been to one already, right?
I've been to Memoirs and the
Nerd
second one, and Nerd Night, the first.
But they have different feels, right? They have different.
They do. Also, because one was at Kawadi on a poppin' night, so you could feel the energy throughout everyone vibing.
Well, the thing is, we are the ones that made it poppin'.
Okay,
right?
Okay, yeah,
because most of the people that were there were there for that, because the downstairs was the normal way it usually is.
Yes.
But the upstairs, according to our data, we almost had 100 people up there.
Okay.
Throughout the night. I don't know if they were all there at one time, because 100 people in that area would have felt like standing room only.
That's good for kicking it off. Kicking it off at that level.
Let's see where it goes, but let's go back to Memoirs. So Memoirs is a true story event. There's a theme every month. This month's theme is Your Mother Should Know.
Okay.
I vet all the speakers because I want to make sure that they can actually speak. That they can at least have a beginning, middle, and end, and kind of have a flow to it.
And not, get on stage for the first minute and then walk off because they're scared.
And those.
For sure.
Those things are going to come out from time to time, but I want it to have a flow because the type of demographic that I want to come to this are the people, again, who are, let's call them a little more educated. They like to listen to stories. They realize that listening to people's stories, they may agree or not agree, but there's still some power in just sharing and listening to somebody's story. And what would you say is the energy that you have felt going to Memoirs?
Good vibes, good people. I think so. It felt like, it didn't feel like it was some amateur kind of thing. It felt like people who actually knew what they were doing on stage, and you obviously know what you're doing when it comes to organizing events, because you put that together pretty well. You got people there, you made it happen, and it was just a good overall feel, and like the venue, 3 East Comedy Club, has a good feel as well, with those red lights
for
at the
that,
front. Yeah,
right? Because that wouldn't work as well in Kawadi.
No, it wouldn't.
Because it's too loud in Kawadi.
Yeah,
so there you want quiet, and I guess the energy that I feel that I get from there is more like emotional, powerful. Where Kawadi is more fun and engaging, like intellectually engaging, but still fun, right? So the other event, so we'll bring it up, is Nerd Night. And Nerd Night is not even an event that was only in Miami. Nerd Night is an event that's in cities all across the world.
How many locations?
I think over 80.
Wow, okay.
Over 80 cities have Nerd Night. So
That's
you can
awesome.
look on the Instagram or Facebook and
And
find
now Colorado
Nerd Nights all
Springs
over.
has one too.
And now Colorado Springs has one too. So Colorado Springs, you have officially made it to the size where people consider that you can have something like Nerd Night, which is in most big cities across the world.
Oh, I get you. Yeah, because it's Colorado Springs kind of, it's
at its infancy of this growth that it continues to, to just experience.
Yes.
Because I'm pretty sure 10 years ago it felt like a different place.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah. And then definitely 30 years ago.
30 years ago, it was a small town.
Yeah.
Right? And I've been coming here for a decade because
Okay.
I have friends that live out here, and that's part of what brought me here was visiting those friends and being like, every time I come to this place, it's like amazing.
Yeah.
And every time I would come, it was just a little more hip and a little more hip and a little more hip as it's growing. And now, again, you have places like Kawadi. You've got all these places that are cool places to hang out in. And, I'd like to say thank you to Kawadi for allowing me to bring that vision, because that space is perfect for what we were doing.
I think so, yeah.
And Nerd Night, so finally tell people what Nerd Night is. Nerd Night is like, the tagline for Nerd Night is be there and be square, right? Because nerds are more square. And then for a few years, they would say, instead of that, it's more like the Discovery Channel with beer. But now, who has cable anymore? So
Yeah, I seen you put that, and I was like, I don't even know what the Discovery Channel means,
Yeah.
But then I've been on Discovery Plus, and I was like, I get what you're saying, because Discovery is about like documentaries, people like very special, like Gold Rush, or
you're
like,
learning something.
You're learning something. That's
You're
what it
learning
is.
something.
Yeah.
And then the update to that I used at the event, which was given to me by Jen Arnold.
Okay.
Because she was explaining it to one of her friends, and she's like, it's like boozy TED Talks.
Okay, boozy TED Talks, okay.
And I was like, that's kind of it. You're learning something, but you're in a social environment. You're in a fun environment. Everybody around you also wants to learn. So you're in your tribe of people who want to learn things in a fun way.
Yeah.
And that's what Nerd
So
Night's
that's
all
going to be in
about.
the copy of the next promotion, right?
Sure.
Boozy TED Talks.
Boozy TED. It was at the bottom of the.
Oh, it
of the
was?
first
Okay,
one,
I didn't even see it. Yeah.
I just hope Ted doesn't come after me for using their name.
Oh, yeah. Well, Discovery Channel either,
Yeah, but they haven't yet.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, I'm still giving them props.
Exactly, and that's how I look at that. But some things are weird. So
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man. So what's your vision with where you want to go with these events?
So I would like for them to continue to grow so that, again, we can bring that demographic of people together to start networking, to start getting to know each other, to see how we can leverage this as a community into something even more powerful over time. The Nerd Night in Miami, I know every summer they would do like a summer tour where they would go to places like the museums around town and do special Nerd Nights. So that would be cool. I would love to do something at the Pioneer Museum.
Yeah.
Right? Or at the Olympic Museum. In Manitou, they've got a museum. In Colorado City, they have a museum. They have the Mining Museum. So there's all these places that we can go to that are places that are meant to teach people. But we're also going to add either that you're going to learn or that you're going to tell a story or something like that, where it really gives the people time to be there and explore the place. And you're also going to connect by either listening to stories or listening to something where you're going to learn.
For sure.
Right? So
Yeah, I really appreciated Steve I almost said Steve Jobs. Steve Fisher's presentation about butterflies. I didn't know that I actually liked them that much either, until he showed that. Like when he said one of his favorites was the zebra-tail swallowtail. I have the zebra swallowtail.
Yeah.
I actually have footage of that, and I know exactly where to find those. They're near to this fruit called a pawpaw, and they only circle. They're within like 50 feet of that, and like I already knew all this information. Like hearing him and seeing him have this passion behind that, and I almost wanted to like shout out, be like, I know where to find them. I know a spot.
And the best part about that is you look at a guy like Steve Fisher, right? This big guy who you would think would never know anything that in depth about butterflies, and I think he can start a museum just with his collection of butterflies and how much he knows about the life cycle of a butterfly and this style and that style and where they live
and how
what area.
He breeds them every year too.
Yeah, so he's a butterfly expert.
Now I want to go find $1,000 butterfly and then catch them every year and just sell them. Like
change it into Bitcoin.
Exchange it in the butterfly coin,
that could be the new crypto.
Yeah, exactly. There's new ones popping up every day. No, for sure, man. So I forgot why I brought that up, but I was just bringing up a part of the event that I really enjoyed, just I guess to just let people know like what kind of you can expect, So
what, from your perspective, what did you see? I asked you about memoirs, so what is your perspective of Nerd Night? Because they're different feelings, both of those.
Well, I mean, the perspective is, I think, reliant. A lot of it is reliant on the venue as well, because, like you said, if you put Memoirs in there, it wouldn't have worked that well. And so the energy that I was feeling at Nerd Night was a lot due in part to the energy I was feeling from the venue.
Yes,
which is it's got people moving around, doing things. You're up at an elevated level, and like it's just. I mean, there was a few things, it was hard to hear the speakers, but I mean, it was your first one doing it. Yeah. So I mean, like
we got to learn and grow.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
and what is your suggestion for that? Should I put them higher?
Who higher?
The speakers higher.
Oh, the speakers higher.
Yeah, if we put them higher, it should.
Higher would help, but I mean louder. But how loud can you go?
The thing is that the loudness, I kept trying to get the louder, but that's when that feedback would come out, and that's where I was like, okay, there's only so much. And I think maybe it's also because the speakers were behind the presenters, where next time they should be higher and in front of the presenters.
Yes,
so that you're not getting
because the microphone is what causes that feedback running through the same systems. At 3E's, the way I capture the audio is through my system. So I have a microphone straight up on the speaker. Yeah. But they're two different systems, so there's no talking to each other, no feedback. So I think that would just take some troubleshooting. I can't think of a solution right off the. I would have to go there and like play with the knobs and stuff, and let's crank this up right here and see if that works or not. And and that's how I operate too. I fill out a lot of things, and venues and event stuff. And video audio for events is not my specialty, but it's somehow becoming my specialty. So
well, that's why we're in talks for these things.
Yes, exactly.
So hopefully the audio and video for those events will get better as we continue to grow and we can bring more team members in.
Yes,
because I do have a vision of making this a team thing because I can't do it all alone as it continues to grow.
For sure. And, I'm just excited about what you're doing, and I appreciate you.
When are we going to get you on one of those stages?
As soon as I figure it out. No, I would love to. Honestly, I really want to start doing more public speaking things and figuring out how to do it without being so nervous. But
why don't you have to embrace the nervousness?
I was just thinking, even Andre 3000 from Outkast says that he gets anxiety before he goes on a stage to this day.
So an example to echo what you're saying is, let's take Tom Brady, the GOAT.
Hold on, weren't we just talking about Tom Brady on the last episode?
So let's take Tom Brady. Do you think, even though he's won 6, however many titles, do you think before he goes on that field for the Super Bowl, he's not feeling anxiety?
Yeah, probably not.
But does he use it to hype him up, or does he use it to tear himself down?
Exactly.
Well, that's the thing. So it's not that anxiety should or should not be there, or fear should or should not be there. It's that, are you the type of person that's going to let it break you down? Or are you the type of person that's going to take that energy, refurbish it, right? And be like, let's go. Let's make this happen.
So I've been on 2 stages, one for 5 minutes and then one at Million Cups. And I remember the whole time when I was doing the presentation part of the Million Cups thing, I could feel myself shaking. But as soon as it went into Q&A, I was in my zone. I was okay. I was comfortable. I was also surrounded in a room of people that a lot of them I knew and supportive. So that helped it as well. But the Q&A part, I felt like I was in my zone.
Yeah.
And like I could just answer questions that come
I think
my way.
there's two things that would help you on this journey to become a more efficient and not even speaker, because what you're doing when you're speaking is communicating, right? And how valuable would it be to be an effective communicator, right? So there's two suggestions I would give you, and that's go to Toastmasters.
Yeah.
Right? That's what that's for. It's people that come together to challenge themselves how to be better communicators through the system that they develop. So it's not that you're always going to be the person giving the talk, but one week you might go and you might be the Toastmaster, where you're not giving the talk, but you're running the meeting, right? Or you might be the evaluator, where you're evaluating the person who did speak. So you get to speak, but you get to do it from that perspective of, these are the things you can improve on, and you're doing it in a constructive way. Or you're the person who counts the people how many so's and likes, so that people can become aware of all that. So that's one, a very cheap way to become a better communicator.
It just reminded me of a cheap way that I've learned too, with all the and the so's and stuff. When you start doing a YouTube channel, you start recording yourself, you notice that.
Yes.
And like
especially when you have to edit it.
Yes, when you go and edit it, you pull yourself out of yourself and you get to see, oh wow, I'm cutting out like every other 3 seconds,
Yeah,
because there's so
exactly.
many likes and so many
And that's how I feel when I do my podcast. It's like, how many times am I going to say because obviously they don't know. That's why we're here. So no, they don't know.
Yeah. Everyone has their little ticks too, that the filler words kind of too.
The filler words.
And
the other suggestion I would have for you is neurolinguistic programming, right? Because what is neurolinguistic programming? Neurolinguistic programming, the way I describe it to people, is learning how to use language as a true art. Instead of just this technical that you're just saying words. It's like, no, how do you put words together to influence people in a way that is positive, or, something like that. So, and then as you learn these skills, you use that anxiety when you get on stage to see like, okay, how well have I learned this? How well have I learned that out pattern that I'm going to throw to that receiver and get the touchdown so I can get my 8th ring, if you're thinking in the Tom Brady way, right? So how has this practice gotten me ready for game time?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And I feel the same types of things. I might not look like it, but I've learned it. I was like, because it's the first time I didn't have the stuff memorized, right? Because I was trying to get 10 things ready at the same time and find the speakers and make sure that everybody's getting me their PowerPoints on time. And it was
3 speakers too, which is it's a lot.
So you have to deal with 3 different schedules, 3 different, and it's like, look, I need all these things. Because part of the way I do it is that I put the deck all in one on my computer, because I don't want to have to change computers in the middle, because that's where you raise the probabilities for technical things to go wrong.
Yeah.
The more things you start moving around.
Yeah. That's what happens with this podcast. Every couple months, I add something new.
Yeah.
And then we have to adjust. Oh, I just nailed everything down, but now we have to adjust to the new thing. And it's just improving, because it's improving, consistently improving. I'm sure there's 100 improvements since the last time you were on.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So since I have you here and you've been a guest or a somebody on the receiving side of those events, what are some things that you would like to see more of to make it a better experience?
That's a hard question, I guess, because it takes some critical thinking, I guess. And so what could make it a better experience?
Yes.
I mean, I already said one of them, just being able to hear the speakers a little better.
Yeah.
I knew for most of the part I could hear, but I could hear people behind me saying I can't hear them.
And that was the nerd night one, because the Memoirs, that's not an issue.
That's not an issue, yes, because Eric has such a great venue set up, designed for that.
Yeah.
A stage and everything, and so yeah, there's that. But besides that, I don't know. I mean, I couldn't. What are some things that you want to look? I'm not
I
trying
think
to.
What I would like to do is in between maybe get some local musicians.
Okay.
Instead of just playing, just music, just, all right, let's get a few local there. It's a 15-minute set, so it's not major, but at least they get some exposure and it gives the event a little more vibe.
For sure. And see, you're already miles ahead of me with these events. By that I mean you're already doing everything. So it's like I can't even think of what else to add on to it because.
But if you think of something,
yes.
like, I think this would make it just 1% better.
Okay.
Because I think that's the key to growth is that give people something that they'll talk about.
Mm-hmm.
That they'll be like, oh, I felt that. That was cool. And now we've only been playing, again, music. And I think the music that I have been playing is a little bit more diverse. So it's new to this area because I don't hear that style of music here. So I'm giving people a little bit of, again, just versatility and different sounds. But again, I'd like to get some music. I would like Eric to get to the point where he could have servers where people don't even have to get up.
Yeah.
You get up if you want in the break, but if you have a musician there, you're not going to get up.
For
but
sure.
you still want that drink.
Yeah.
You still want
Well,
that
he
drink.
did have servers, I thought, last time. They brought me some drinks and some
All right,
food.
so
and
it's trending in the right direction.
Yeah. He actually was one of the servers. Like, man, Eric is so, like, badass.
Yeah.
Like, he's really in it, and he really, like, you could see his spirit behind everything.
Think about he opened this thing up during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Just like I moved here during the pandemic, and for a venue like that, you need it to be open. And without it being open, I don't know what the number is, but I wonder how much.
It's raining.
It's raining. Raining, hailing. So I'm
Sorry,
wondering.
that distracted my bad.
No worries.
I get this. I have an ADHD, so.
Go do the incline a few more times.
Yeah.
That'll start to calm that down.
No, for sure.
After the incline, you're calm.
Yeah. I was wondering what that sound though. I wasn't trying to interrupt you, but like it was like, is something going on? Like, because I couldn't hear it with the headphones. But.
And of course, because why not? I brought my rain jacket and I left it in the car.
Oh, I got an umbrella. An umbrella, as some people say, as Rihanna says.
Rihanna. Ella.
Hella. All right. Yeah. Okay. So what were you in the middle of saying? If you.
I don't remember that anymore.
It's in the past. It's
in
gone.
The past. We're in the present now.
Yes. Now?
But now.
I'm gonna take a sip of my coffee. There's water for you right there too.
I'm good. Thank
Water,
you.
just making sure the seal wasn't broke.
Don't break the seal.
That's actually something that's like when you're drinking. That breaking the seal is like when you the first.
That's it. Then you gotta pee after that.
Then every is it continuously. Yeah. Don't break the seal. Yeah. Yeah, man. So you've obviously been on this podcast before and kind of told your story and your backstory. But for those who haven't seen that episode, can you give a brief description of I guess not your entire life story, but where your upbringing.
The entire life. So the universe saw it fit to spit me out on December 18th, 1978.
Oh, wow, okay.
I moved around a lot when I was a kid in South Florida. I went to like 5 or 6 different schools until I finally got to high school, and I went to the same high school. I got married very young.
Okay.
I had children very young. I was married at 20. I had my son at 21. I had my daughter at 22.
Oh, wow.
I am leaving to Miami on Tuesday because my daughter's graduating from high school.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
I'm going to go hang out with her and celebrate and catch up with family and all that stuff. Now, with that being said, in my 20s, my life was a literal party. Literally, right?
Yeah.
So I was working for a liquor distributor, so I was in bars and restaurants during the day and alcohol.
Yeah.
I used to run a poker company in the evenings from South Florida all the way to the Keys, to the Florida Keys. So I was around alcohol and bars and restaurants at night.
And gambling.
And then in the weekends, I used to DJ in South Beach.
Okay.
So that was my life for a decade.
For an entire decade.
And
it actually encompassed someone that I met out here, Chad Weller.
Oh, yes. Well, but the thing is, I met Chad because once I got divorced, that's when my life turned into basically what it is now, which now what I do as a trade for a living is I'm a holistic health coach. I help people optimize their wellness through very systematic approaches that are anchored in discovery. It's like, let's discover what your body is telling us instead of thinking that we know anything. Let's just see, if we try this, what does your body tell us? Can you hold this position, or do you feel like you're going to fall over? Does it hurt? Like, what is your body telling us so that we can figure out the puzzle piece that we need to put here? And then once we get this puzzle, we'll search for the next one. And then once we got the puzzle together, you're living in a more optimal place.
Very, very similar to what a chiropractor would do, I think.
There is some of that in there, but it's way more in depth.
Okay,
I
not
think,
very similar, just somewhat similar.
I think a chiropractor, acupuncturist, all these people are team members when it comes to people and their health and wellness, right? Let's take Tom Brady again, since we brought him up. When Tom Brady gets off the field, he doesn't just go and stretch. He has a team of people stretching him. Oh, we need to do acupuncture here. We need to make sure that this is loose. No, this is too loose. We need to tighten this muscle to make. He's got a team of people.
LeBron says he spends $1 million on his body.
But he makes way more off of it.
Yeah.
So it's a great investment.
Yes.
And it's the only one you've got. So I like to think of my body as a temple. Literally, it's a temple, and I only get one shot in this temple. So do I want to treat it sacred like a temple, or do I want to treat it like it doesn't matter and, whatever?
How do you get in the mindset of actually truly doing that? Because I want to do that too, but I do not live in line with that.
Curiosity.
Okay.
Curiosity should be the base of anything. And if you're curious and you want to be a good scientist, you'll do it right, right? So say I want to do, as an example, the autoimmune protocol, which I've done before. And the very first time I did the autoimmune protocol, it's because I told a client of mine, hey, let's try it, because she had an autoimmune situation going on. And I'm like, look, I don't know if this is going to work for you, but there's only one way to find out. And isn't that how a scientist thinks?
This hell is a very, very challenge for me.
What?
Because the hell happening.
The hail? Okay.
Because I'm trying to focus on you, but it's just like pounding in the back of my head. And it's like, good thing you parked in the garage, Marcus, because that sounds pretty bad.
My car doesn't look like a golf ball when I go outside.
Yes. Sorry, man. I'm
No
trying to
worries.
focus, man. But this is a good training.
Practice.
Good practice. Yeah.
And all life is a practice.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
If you do yoga, what do they call it?
Practice.
Doing jujitsu, what
Meditation
do I
practice,
call it?
yeah.
I call it a practice.
A practice, yeah.
All life is a practice.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all it is.
So you said the immunity thing, and you were working with someone.
So I was working with her. I hadn't tried the autoimmune protocol. I was learning about it at that time. So I go to her, look, you're having an autoimmune situation. This is what's happening with you. We know this. I don't know if this is going to work. There's only one way to find out. Let's pick 30 days. Let's do it together.
Okay.
That's it. We have a deadline. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize. You want to be curious, but your science project has to have an end. If you just say, oh, I'm going to go on a diet, what does that mean? Right? What does that mean?
Everyone has a diet.
Yeah. Everybody has a diet. It could be a good one, a bad one. But if you're like, oh, I'm going to do this, what does that mean? So I told her, look, 30 days. This is all we're doing. Let's focus and be curious and be scientific about this for 30 days. We picked the 30 days. In 30 days, she lost 16 pounds, which is not even what we wanted. That wasn't the effect we were looking for, but that is what happened.
Okay.
And the situation she had, she did not have.
And what was the situation?
She
Was
had
it immune?
eczema. She had a skin,
Okay.
like redness, flaky skin, and
And were you guys like, what did you do a selective diet?
yeah, we
Okay.
did. And we did that autoimmune protocol.
Okay.
And when it was done, again, she lost the weight, eczema was gone, and then we had to start adding foods back in because the autoimmune protocol is a fancy way of saying like an elimination diet, where you're
That's what I was
eating
thinking.
very basic things. The thing is, I don't like to use the word elimination when I'm working with clients. I don't like to focus on what people can't do.
That's
I like to
that's
focus
that
on what they
neurolinguistic
can do.
programming that you were talking about.
Exactly.
Being careful with the
Yeah,
words that
because
you
if I
choose.
tell you, oh, we can't do this, it starts to feel like, oh, I just can't do so many things. But if I tell you, oh, look, check this recipe out. This looks delicious, right? I didn't tell you what you couldn't do. I just told you, hey, let's focus on this right here.
Yeah.
And I took some recipes. She took some recipes. We traded so that we were accountability partners. And yeah, she figured out that tomatoes, gluten, and wine would make her skin come back, but we would have never known that
Yeah.
unless
She
we
would have been going on
undergone-
for another 30 years, probably.
who knows.
Yeah.
And the thing is that, for lack of better way of explaining this, she was not hurting financially, and she lives in Boston, and Boston is a medical mecca, right? How many things are happening medically in Boston? And she'd been to the best doctors, potions, lotions, pills. It would kind of do stuff, but it never went away. We did this thing for 30 days, gone. So
And
That's the power.
Is this the main thing that you do?
This is part of what I do because I also look at people physically. So I do physical movement assessments. I do flexibility assessments. I do nutritional assessments. I do breathing assessments. And then we put all of this together. Mindset assessments. What is the narrative you're telling yourself about all of these things? And now we can tie that back into something like Memoirs, because if you have a very interesting narrative and you can tell it, then I want you to get on the stage to let people know, look, we can learn from you, from your story. Are you willing to share it?
Yeah. Yeah, your guest that you had on last month actually went to high school with Marcus over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which one?
Remington.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, so that's exciting. That's awesome. I would love to work with you on some of that stuff because I know it's some stuff that I need in my life.
Yeah. And again, it's a practice. Are you going to be an expert at it today?
No.
No. It's 1% better every day is what I tell people. That's it. 1% better every day in 100 days. You're already 100%
That's
better.
the philosophy behind the Atomic Habits book.
Yeah.
If you've listened or read that book,
I have not, but
it's by I actually know the author's name too, James Clear. So I don't usually know authors' names, so I'm proud of that one.
but that's what it is. It's all like they say, like a boat in the ocean. If you want it to get to a different course, all you got to do is turn it a little bit, and then it just starts to.
For sure,
But
man.
it's just a little bit of a degree of a turn.
What's that triangle tattoo right there?
This here is the Deathly Hallows from
I
Harry
just watched
Potter.
that yesterday, so that's why I asked that. I was like, I know that thing, dude.
I know that mother right there. So these are the Deathly Hallows, and the reason I have the Deathly Hallows tattooed on my body is because Harry Potter was the book that got me into reading. Before that,
okay.
I was very, let's call it fixed mindset, more of a fixed mindset. I've always been a party person. I was living a party for my whole 20s.
Yeah.
But I was very fixed mindset, like, oh, reading, who wants to do that? That takes so much time and blah, blah, blah. But when my children were growing up, the third Harry Potter movie was like out on whatever, HBO back then, or the Dish. We had the Dish. So whatever, pay-per-view, whatever it was that you had to watch it back then. And I was watching it. And because my son wanted to watch it over and over and over again, because that's what kids do.
I did that.
It's like
around the same time period with the same movies.
Yeah, it's like I gotta watch this movie 1 million times. And it was the third Harry Potter movie, and I was like, I like this storyline. And that's when I decided, well, let me go read these books, because I was already starting to want to grow in different ways at that point. And at that point, I think only 5 of the books had been released. So I got the first book, and I was supposed to read the first book in high school during my senior year. That's when it came out. And our teacher was like, she made it to read this book. And that made me not want to read it even more, right? Sure. When they tell you to read it, that's like
a book that's like this big too.
Well, the first one is about this.
Okay.
But that's part of what I think is so fascinating about a book like Harry Potter, is that it's 7 books. Half of them are this thick, and it captivated the world.
Yes.
And what about that message is so powerful that it captivated the world? And I started thinking about it in that perspective.
I had thought about that. It's actually very wild, because this is the first time I've seen the Deathly Hallows. It took me 20 years to finish the series, and I just finished it yesterday. So when I seen that on your arm, it stood out to me, because it's literally fresh in my mind.
Yeah, and it's a powerful thing what these things mean in that book.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a good lore. Well, I had a thought of what captivated. I know what captivated me, because I remember when I seen the first movie when it came out.
Yeah.
In theaters, I was like really young,
Yeah.
and the idea. The magic that they captured in the first one, like being a kid, waking up to you're a wizard, Harry.
Yeah. Oh, what?
Yeah. So that feeling of the they really were able to capture the magic very well.
Yeah.
And it's just Warner Brothers did a good job, and so did JK.
JK, she came through. So I got this tattoo in London.
Okay.
At King's Cross Tattoo Parlor, across the street from King's Cross Station, where
King's Cross
9
is where he's at.
3/4 is supposed to be at. So that's where this.
That's
where
awesome.
I got this.
Well, that's a cool story. I'm glad that popped up in the corner of my eye, because that wouldn't have happened.
So yeah, Harry Potter. After I read the books, I got to the 5th book. The 6th one was about to be released, and from that point on, I was that nerd at midnight on the launch date, like, give me my book.
Okay, you were that nerd.
I was
okay.
that person. And I did that for the last 2 books. And on the last book, once the last one came out, my kids were probably still around 8 and 6. And there was this place in South Florida called Wanadu City, where you could take your kids and they can, like, it was like a little city inside of, or like a warehouse kind of space, where when you got in, you could decide if you wanted to be a doctor, if you wanted to be a policeman, and you got to play these roles throughout this city and let the kids just run free. And
That's
the reason I
interesting.
bring it up with Harry Potter is because when the 7th book came out, there was a ton of parents. Like, I wasn't the only one that had that idea of let the kids go and run so I could read this book.
Oh,
The
really?
whole
Oh, that's
entire
great.
lobby was full of parents reading the book. And it's
Okay.
like, what part are you on? Oh, don't tell me, don't tell me, don't tell me.
That's interesting.
And while all the kids were just...
That's community book reading.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. Yeah. That's cool, man. That's a good story.
And again, that the power of whatever message is coming out of that book could make people do that of all ages.
Yeah,
Is powerful.
for sure. My sister has probably that tattoo on her arm too. Like, so.
And at the end of the day, if you really think about it, Harry Potter is the exact same story as Star Wars, the exact same story as The Matrix, at all these classical series.
Odysseus.
That it's the same thing. It's the hero's journey. Here, you're gonna be the hero. I really don't want to be the hero. How do I even be a hero? They try to fight against it, and then they accept. Okay, I have to do this, and then they charge at it. They to bring up, I guess,
Transformation.
to bring it, I guess, a Bible way of saying it is that they carry their cross purposefully.
And I don't know what that means. Oh, they carried their own.
They carry their
Yeah.
cross, right? Harry Potter had to carry that cross because after the 5th installation of that book, he wanted nothing to do with anything anymore. He's like, I'm tired of this. I don't want to fight this guy. I'm tired of everybody I know is dying. I don't want to do this anymore. But he still had to. It didn't matter. It was the cross was there for him to bear, and if he didn't bear it, nobody was going to do it. Right? So,
Yeah.
right, and you can bring that analogy to somebody like Jesus. He took that cross and said, "This is what I have to do." So we can do that. Maybe not to the same scale as some
Yeah.
of these books, but in your life, what is important enough to you to bear the cross? Because there's always going to be the bearing of something. And if you don't do it willingly, you're going to do it unwillingly. And then that comes down to one of my favorite quotes, which is, it's not the load that breaks you, it's the way you carry it. But no matter what, there's a load.
Yeah. Gotta have good form.
Yeah, you can either use it to make you stronger, or you can use it to break you down. Same thing with the anxiety we were talking about. You can use it to be like, hey, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to crumble under the pressure of this anxiety. You get to make that choice,
Yeah.
that practice.
Well, let's put it on a date then. I'll do it one time. I'll do it. I'm definitely down, and I want to do it, but I want to make sure that it's something that provides value and good, and that I am not going to stutter over my words. Or
Well, the thing is that in this discussion we've had today, there's about 3 things that you can challenge yourself with. You can do the ukulele. You can challenge yourself to get on the stage at either one of my events. So the thing is, you need to make yourself say, by this date, this is going to happen.
yeah. Okay.
I forgot what the name of the law is. I'm going to butcher it. I wish we had somebody that can look it up. But I don't know if
We
it's...
do kind of
there's-
Pomodoro. I know it's the thing where whatever time you give, you fill that up.
Yes.
So if you give yourself
Forever.
a 2-week deadline
Yeah.
or no deadline, yeah.
If you give yourself forever, it'll take forever.
Yeah.
If you say, I'm going to do this in 2 weeks, it's done in 2 weeks.
Maybe it's the Pareto principle.
No, the Pareto Principle is the 80-20 rule.
That's the 80-20. Yes. Well, it's one of them.
It's one of those ones that the task will fill into the time that you allow for it.
Comment on this video if you know what it is.
We'll look it up after we're done. And then
Yeah.
we'll know.
All right. Well, we'll have to get that set up for you, Marcus. You know, like where you can just pop it in.
So you can be like Jamie.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan show.
No, for sure, man. Yeah. This show definitely has a big inspiration from Joe Rogan and the way I've seen him set it up, and I really built the model kind of based on that. But also, I just knew what I needed to do, and I did it. So,
Congratulations for taking action.
yeah. Action.
Accent. So that's the thing. Now that you took the action, take a step back and reflect on that action. And where do you want to continue the momentum of that action?
Me and Marcus have a meeting once a week where we do that.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You have a team now.
Yeah.
You didn't have a team last time I was
didn't
here.
know.
So.
Yeah, that's one improvement.
Yes,
I told
that's
you.
super improvement.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, let's start wrapping this up. Is there anything you'd like to promote specifically? This episode will be released next Tuesday. Next Tuesday. Not the one that's coming, but the one after it.
All right. So, Accent is every other Monday. I can't tell you. So, let's see. Where are we? It was this past Monday, so it's not next Monday. Let me look in my calendar here so we can give people a better something or other. But don't make it a practice of looking at your phone when you're in discussions with people.
Yeah, no, for
practice.
sure. Yeah.
So it was on the 17th. So the next one is not going to be on the 31st because of Memorial Day. I think we're going to let people have that.
Okay.
So then the next one after that should be on the 14th. And that's at 6 p.m. at the edge of downtown, which is, I'm not sure what the address is. I think it's 324 North Nevada. And that's, again, brainstorming, goal-setting group. So if you really want to take seriously the things you want to accomplish, surround yourself with other people that are trying to accomplish things.
Yeah.
Right? It's like that whole, you're the sum of the people you hang out with the most. So go hang out with other people that are challenging themselves to be better, right? So that's what Accent's all about. I said the next one is on the 14th. Hopefully we'll see some people out there. The next thing is Memoirs. Memoirs is on the last Monday of every month, except for this one. We're not fighting with Memorial Day. We want to let people celebrate that, especially in this town where service is such an important thing. So Memorial Day should be focused on that.
For sure.
So we are moving it to May 24th, but this won't be out by then. So don't worry about that. But the next one, and I'll look that up here as well, will be on June 28th.
June 28th.
June 28th. And I'm thinking, and this is breaking news. You ready?
Okay.
The theme, I haven't released the theme. I haven't told anybody what the theme's going to be for June. But I think the theme for June is going to be schools out.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Right?
And what do these themes mean? Like, I've seen how it works in action at Memoirs, you know. What was the theme that I seen? It was
you saw rebirth.
Rebirth. And so everyone who was speaking, they kind of told a story of
their life that has to connect to the theme, which was rebirth for the last one.
And so give an example of how someone would connect to Schools Out.
Well, here's the thing with these themes is that they're purposefully meant to be a little bit vague because I don't know what perspective.
So someone takes that and then they do what they want with it.
They have their perspective.
So I would say here is how I would tie it in is how when high school ended for me, it was I was never going back to school. I did not want to.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted. I mean, obviously every day I was learning and going out and doing things to improve my education. Even watching this YouTube channel called Crash Course, where they break down like a bunch of different things. I was obsessed with that so much that I made it my ringtone. And that was outside of school. Yeah. That was the first time I loved school.
Yeah.
So,
well, learning has nothing to do with school.
Yeah, exactly. yeah.
But
that's how I would tie that theme, I think.
And that's the thing. We want it to purposefully be a little bit vague so that you can connect to it, however, because you're talking about high school, but maybe somebody else is talking about when they would go every summer when school let out, they would go do something with their family and they connected to that. Or it could be somebody, when I finally finished grad school.
Yeah.
Right? It's school's out.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you? And what story do you have to share with us about that? So that's the next Memoirs in June. That will be the theme. If anybody's interested, you can send us a message at memoirscos@gmail.com and we can send over the storyteller's application just in case somebody is feeling that theme. And then Nerd Night, the next one, and I'll look at my calendar again.
And that Memoirs is at 3 East
Comedy Club. Thank you for reminding me to say that. So 3 East Comedy Club. Last Monday of every month is when we do it, except for this one because of Memorial Day. And June 16th is the next Nerd Night. And I believe I already have all the speakers for that one confirmed. I have a girl named Lindsay who's going to talk about WTF is credit. What is credit and and how do you keep your credit from getting effed, right? So there's that. The middle girl, Angeline, is going to be speaking about bird copulation.
Bird copulation. Okay.
So we're gonna have some bird porn.
That's some. Hey, they have some of the best porn, you know.
Sure. And then we're gonna close it out with Drew. You know Drew from Old Chicago, the East-West Beer Exchange, that he sends beer from Colorado to Russia.
That sounds familiar. I think I've seen him speak at 1 Million Cups of a year.
Yeah, he was at 1 Million Cups before they shut down, I think.
Yep,
again.
I think I've seen that.
So he will be closing it out, talking about why Colorado beer is so delicious.
Okay.
So that's the next Nerd Night. And for anybody who's interested in talking at Nerd Night, nerdnightcos@gmail. We'll send you the presenter's application. And that one is at Kawadi, which is there in that hip area down south, downtown by Tejon, right across the street, almost from this new soccer stadium that just opened up yesterday.
I can't wait to get some footage of that big sphere. I'm going to get some cool time lapses of it. Yesterday, I wanted to get one because there's a bunch of people flooding in and out of it. And I was like, this is cool. There's like a big game going on, and it's not too crowded downtown.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like a big football game going on. Like, if that happened, I couldn't get nowhere. So.
Yeah, it'd be just lots of people everywhere.
But no, I want to get a time lapse of that, and I'm excited. But yeah, man, this has been great, man. It's been a good episode, good talk, good conversation,
good
like always. Yeah, good catch up. We definitely gotta hit the incline again sometime. And,
I love the incline whenever you're ready.
Bring out your buds axe.
Yeah.
And
well, Elvis is coming back here in July.
Yeah.
He's coming back, so we'll see if we can get him back up up the top there.
Those are some good dudes you brought over. So thank you for introducing me to them. And yeah. Sounds good, man. So we'll wrap this up and bye-bye.